All right, my friends, how are you today? Aaron here bringing you your daily horoscope for October the 5th, 2021. We got the moon moving through the later degrees of Virgo. About 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, it's going to move out of Virgo into the sign of Libra, where we'll spend the rest of the day in preparation for the Libra full moon, Libra new moon. It's going to be happening on the 6th at about 7 in the morning. We're not there yet. We have lessons to learn today before we get to the new moon. And it's important, those new moons, the full moons, those exact things, it's oftentimes we're living ahead. We're either thinking about the thing that just happened or we're living and focusing on the next thing, And this Virgo energy is about the present. It's the right here, the right now, the focused on this moment, focused on this energy, focused on this, label this as exactly whatever it is. And that's there's factual, punctual, analytical aspects of the sign of Virgo. So not only is it being decisive and saying this is what this is, and I'm saying yes to this or no to this. Is this good? Yes or no? Does this make you feel good? Yes or no? We're talking about the moon or emotions. Does this make you feel good? Yes or no? Should I align myself back up with this again in the future? Yes or no? Okay. The decisions that we make in Virgo are judged and balanced out when things move into the sign of Libra. So the Sun, Mars, Mercury retrograde, and then the moon's going to join here today. Now, before we get there, let me show you the chart. When I was reading through the comments about the video I put out yesterday, I think when I was talking about when I was with the deer. All right. I'll come back here for a second. While the moon is in Virgo is why I'm going to talk about this. And then we're about to have this grand air trine back up again too, making our minds up. Getting so emotionally focused on your services, who you are, your goods, what you are creating. Okay. Now, the reason I brought up Stockholm Syndrome and what that has to do with astrology, and thank you for, it's not in front of me right now who made that comment, but why did I bring that up when looking at this astrology? Because with the air trine that we have with Saturn in the sign of Aquarius, which deals with the collective, which deals with the community, Saturn being a singularity. Saturn is kind of the identity. You are you, I am me. Okay, the collective, we are, right? But you are you and I am me. That's very Saturnian kind of aspects of things. We can lose sight of who we are. We can lose sight of our ambitions. We can lose sight of our goals. It's just like we all had a mission preconceived before having these bodies, preconceived before understanding, having the emotions, the mind, the things. It's just like we as a spirit or a soul or whatever we are, in the non-physical, the Piscean energy, whatever we are in the non-physical, it's like we have a goal to come back down here to Earth. And when we come back down here to Earth, this is subjective. You can disagree. It's fine. But when we come back down here to Earth, we have a mission. And it seems like a lot of people, myself included most certainly, and we lose our mission over time because we're getting brought up into the world. Okay, this is Saturn in Aquarius. This is part of this trine. The Sun in Libra, Mars in Libra, Mercury in Libra, about to have the Moon in Libra. We can get lost in other people's reality. Okay, so the Stockholm Syndrome comment is, it's like we often think, psychologically, oh, we're immune of that. We're exempt. There's no way that will happen to me. There's no way I would fall for such trickery, such illusory, such, you know what I'm saying? Like we often think this because we want to think that we're smarter than. But the reason I brought that up because Stockholm Syndrome exists. It exists, and we become conditioned we lose sight of our reality. We lose sight of who we were. So let's still play with that Stockholm syndrome thing. It's like we lost sight of who we were before we were captured. And then we think we need this. You know, so it's like this is the same as coming back down here to Earth. And now it's the human species and its greed and its law and order and whose religion and whose concept of how we are here, you know. And then all this is being like, it's like saying, look at it, humans, you know, the North Node in Gemini. And this is really saying, like, you guys have to look at this. You all have to really look. Why does this make sense? And specifically when we're talking about the religions of the world these days, my goodness, you know, it's just like, well, where does this make sense? Where does this fit into a timeline, you know, of a God that created one son, that one man's son solved the issues of thousands and thousands and thousands of years prior, you know? I mean, again, I don't want to get too much on the astrotheology thing, but it's just like we're all being brainwashed. We're being brainwashed and we're being conditioned to live somebody else's reality because we're too dumb to think for ourselves. That's the truth. We're too dumb to think for ourselves. I had court the other day. I had to go to court, and it was through a Zoom meeting. Thank God I didn't have to drive out to Romeo, Michigan. It was for a license plate. My license plate was expired, and I forgot to pull my tabs in because the height of the pandemic, the Secretary of State was actually closed, and then it kind of went under the radar. Anyway, so as I am waiting my turn, all of these individuals, I'm getting to the astrology, be patient, I'm sorry. Patience, that's this the Libra season, patience of the mind, patience. It all comes to an unfolding and unraveling and illuminates so we comprehend and absorb and extract knowledge. Libra, right? So here I am. All of these individuals before me, they've all done something. You know, we all do something. And it's like, oh, you were 5 over. It's like, who gives a shit? 5 over the speed limit. Oh my God, it's an arbitrary number that we set to make sure that we're okay. But at the same time, it's just like there's wiggle room there. And we're so by the book sometimes. It's almost kind of silly. It's something that my Capricorn Virgo nature, I'm a Capricorn Sun, Virgo rising, I had to let that stuff go a long time ago because I was so by the book. What is that movie? Don't forget to bring your towel. What those guys that like read poetry and they talk like this, the weird looking guys, and everything was rules, very Capricorn kind of nature. Anyway, so everybody here, it's like you've done something. You're not really a criminal. You didn't do something that's really wrong that you need to be punished for. You know, you made a turn, or you probably could have got a slap on the wrist. But these days, it's just like, oh, no. For every wrong, there needs to be punishment. Okay? Now, here we have the only man that was... Look this up, please fact check me. The only person that was fired from the military, or the army, the military, it's across the way right now. It's the whole Taliban thing. It's the only person that's been fired was asking to hold the higher ups accountable. And was fired for that. You know, so this is like, oh, when we try to hold the people above us accountable for their actions, it's like, no, we don't need actions for that. We don't know. Jeff Bezos doesn't need to pay taxes. He's just the richest person in the world. Corporation doesn't need to pay taxes, but you got to pay taxes. You know, you're below the line. So it's like all these people below the line here, you know, they've all done something wrong. You know the difference between an employee and a boss? A boss has a reason and employees have excuses. Okay? It's perspective. This is important. This is all about this astrology because we're dealing with the mind here. We're dealing with so much mental mind. All right, so we as people, these individuals here, they've all done something, and the court says, okay, well, if you know, you can either plead guilty or you can ask for, you know, you can have an explanation or you can ask for a suggestion. At that point, what they do is the officer says, well, I suggest this. We'll waive your points. You just pay the fee. And I mean, this court turned around thousands of dollars, and every person, you could see it in their face. They're like, well, I didn't really do something. You know, I didn't really. And that's, of course, debatable. Wrong. We do something wrong, right, wrong, Virgo. Right, wrong. Is it right or wrong? You know, we make these rules to help us. But if they're helping us, if they're helping stop us from expansion, they're not really helpful. So anyway, all these individuals are saying, oh, let me ask for the recommendation because I'm not smart enough to know how to represent myself enough in the court of law for the cop who is a civil servant. This cop works for you. The judge works for you. And you don't know how to represent yourself. You know, it's like, I'm not coming down on anybody out here. I'm saying, like, as in general, as a whole. It's like, do we not know how to talk to the people that work for us to keep us safe, and that we waive our rights away? This is the same thing. It all goes with the Stockholm Syndrome thing. It's like we're waiving our rights away that somebody else has a better concept of what our reality should be. You must know my life better. You know, and it's just like, it's unfortunate because we're caught right now in this really messed up little system that's going on here, this tug of war game between vaxxed and unvaxxed, and did we believe this was from a wet market in Wuhan? Do we think that this was created by governments? There's a lot of information out there that makes you question. I don't even think you have to be a conspiracy theorist. It's just a lot. It's weird. If the COVID vaccine was the most attractive person in the world and they were coming on to me, you know, I'm heterosexual, so if this was like the most attractive woman in the world coming on to me, it's so forward that I would be like, there's something wrong here. Like, you want this so bad. You want me to want you so bad that something should be really raised as a red flag. Okay, so what's happening here is we have individuals of authority within the community, Saturn and Aquarius, trying to feed you, make up your mind for you. This is Libra. Libra is your mind. Gemini is the possibilities, the him and hog. Well, if I followed them and I listened to them, or if I followed me and listened to me, you know, this is the devil and the angel on each shoulder. That's Gemini. The North Node's down there saying, well, look at the options. And if you're not looking at the options, that means you're just blindly living somebody else's life. And if you're not stepping and taking a step back and, you know, this is the crux. This is a huge turning point in history on how we operate as a society, as individuals, and how we're allowing ourselves to be governed. How are we allowing ourselves to be governed? All of it is up for great change. All right, I want to come back here to the chart for just a moment. I know I'm talking a lot right now. So as our day moves on, we're out of factual Virgo mind, right or wrong. You know, do we have to make up our mind here? Am I following somebody else's lead, or am I making my own decisions for me? You know, this is what this Virgo moon is teaching us. And then it's saying, okay, well, let's look at my relationships here with the other. Let's take an emotional evaluation. Does the pendulum swing to your side and not swing back to mine? Is the pendulum always swinging back my side and I'm not doing enough to swing it back your way? I'm not pushing my weight back. You know, there's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong. Yet at the same time, we're karmically judged by our actions, by our words, by our lack of actions, by our lack of words, by how we respond to the authority, to how we come off as the authority, our tactics of manipulation. Libra is mindfully manipulative, mindfully, tactfully manipulative, can be. You know, so like, all right, so let me, this is how I'm going to end this. This is interesting. What's coming through, I just accept it. You know, they say if you cheated on your spouse, whoever they is, one of the things, all right, I see it all coming. Here we go. If you cheat on your spouse, they say you don't tell them because it makes you feel better, not them. I'm not giving that advice. I'm not giving that advice. Okay. So you tell the person it makes you feel better. You tell them it makes you feel better, but it hurts them. You hide it from them. This is manipulation to make them feel better. You know, what's right or what's wrong? The action that had already taken place. What happens next, how that follows. You know, and now I just read, it's funny as I'm talking about this popped in my mind too. So this is how I'm going to end this one here. Because again, there's very dualistic nature. And we're dealing with perspectives. We're not dealing with, is this a rock? Is this wood? Is this glass? Is this metal? We're not dealing with, is this an action or an inaction? We're not dealing, you know, this is all about the mind. We're talking about how we understand something, how we believe something. We can both see the exact same thing and have different beliefs of it. There's no right. There's your way, there's my way. As far as the right way, it doesn't exist. Who is that, Nikola Tesla, maybe? I don't know, somebody. So, you know, it's funny. So I was reading 2 articles recently. One, this is if you want to get a job and you want to go after that job. You know, we're talking about making our minds up. Okay, in all orders right now in astrology, we're talking about making our minds up, saying yes to something, and then you go after that thing. You know, we're coming from Virgo season, and now going after that thing means we're connecting with other people to go after that thing. So in this article, and it was just like, okay, coaches and psychiatrists backed up this article. That was if you go after the job and then if you get ghosted, you know, the employer doesn't call you back, doesn't respond. And it's saying, follow up with them. Follow up with them. Let them know why you're the right person for the job. Show some of your skill sets. Show that you're ambitious, that you're willing, that you want to try. Okay. Then it's like, wait a day or two. Do it again. Keep sending. It's saying keep sending. This is a certified coach, a psychologist. You know, they're saying, yes, this is how you go after the job. Let the employer know that you want them. Now, a day prior to that, I read an article about something called hoovering, which is a new term that's about exes. And now, here's the ex wanting to get back together with this one. And that same psychology, if you were to take the same psychology from the job, going after this job, saying, look, I'm making these things, you know, whether I'm making changes or I'm doing all of these things in my life, I'm doing these things, this is why I'm the right person. And I've made up my mind. You are the one that I see a future with. I see potential with you. In a world of replaceable people, that's a big thing to commit, you know. And this article is going on saying that the person who is reaching out, maybe they're making decisions to change their life or not, they're a narcissist or a sociopath, and the hoovering is sucking the life out of the person who is not interested. So it's like when we take a look at both of these things, they're extremely similar. One is saying yes to a job, one is saying yes to a person. Both about commitment and seeing longevity in the long term of something. And on one hand, you say, okay, this is how you should approach this and don't give up. And over here, it's like, oh yeah, but we're talking about love? No, that person doesn't love you anymore or something happened. Give up and don't ever turn back. And if you try to go back to that person or say that you're making changes, well, you're a narcissist. And it's like, this is the same thing. You know, and then it's just like, well, now we're throwing around the term narcissist or sociopath or something. It's just like, again, these terms, it's like, well, now what's appropriate? Everybody has narcissistic traits. Everybody has narcissistic traits. But to be a narcissist, you know, like prescribed narcissist. We're not doctors. We can't make that decision for other people. It's not fair. It's not right. You know, so either way, we have very dualistic nature of the exact same thing. Persistency on one hand should be rewarded, or persistency on the other hand is delusional, narcissistic, bad. You're bad. And over here, you're great for doing the exact, you know, for something that's quite similarly. There's no right or wrong. And it's not up to us to determine how somebody interprets our words or our actions. It's only up to us to be authentic. It's a very long-winded talk about a lot of stuff today. My friends, have a beautiful day. in preparation for this Libra new moon. A lot to talk about tomorrow with that. All right. I love you, and we'll see you soon.